Welcome. I'm Verna Joe, Director of Spanish Fork Senior Citizen Center. We've created this program in hopes that you'll find some enjoyment, maybe learn something new, and mostly to connect with you. Please sit back and enjoy.
Ted, hut! Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Present arms. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, Spanish Fork. I'm Heather Lyman, nurse with Aspen Ridge Home Health and Hospice. And did you know that January is National Blood Donor Month? In 1969, President Nixon designated it as such. Did you know that in the winter months, blood donation drops off sharply? People are busy, it's Christmas, it's cold outside, and weather hampers things. So there is a critical need for blood donation right now. In honor of National Blood Donation Month, I thought I'd give you some tips and statistics on blood donation. So, number one, of the four main types of blood, type O is the one that's most critically needed. Type AB is the most rare, but all of the blood types are needed because although type O is known as the universal donor and can be given to any recipient, it actually is preferable to type when you're transfusing. So it doesn't matter what type you are, it's needed. Number two, there's not as many restrictions as you might think. If you are feeling good and in good health, you can donate. You need to be at least 16 and weigh 110 pounds or more. You may be turned away if your iron is low, if you're not feeling well, if you've traveled outside the United States to certain areas in the last 3 years, if your blood pressure is too high or too low, you might be turned away, and if you have certain chronic conditions. But you can donate blood if you have tattoos, if you've had recent vaccines, and most medications are okay. So number three, it's easy. You can download the Blood Donor app on your phone, and you will get information like where local blood drives are being held. You can schedule an appointment to donate blood. You can even get notified when your donation is on its way to a recipient. You can also log on to www.redcross.org, or you can call 801-323-7000. One donation, 1 pint of blood, can save up to 3 lives. You seniors, you're on a fixed income, a lot of you, so it can be hard to donate monetarily, but blood donation is free and it can save a life. It can save 3 lives. In the US, someone needs blood every 2 seconds. So just get out there and do it. Here's a fun fact. Did you know dogs can donate blood for a veterinary emergency? They can. So this is my call to action, Spanish Fork. Get out there and do something that can save a life. What on your schedule is more important than that? So, as always, we love you. Go do something that will keep someone else safe out there.
Hey, Beverly, we haven't had any jokes for a year.
Oh, you're right. It is a new year.
Let's get some jokes.
Let's get some jokes. All right. Let me see. I'm going to use some jokes that have been given to me from some other seniors that get jokes in their little pamphlets that they get. So here we go. A husband and wife were reading a magazine and newspaper when she burst out laughing. "Listen to this," she said. "There's a classified ad here where a guy is offering to swap his wife for a season ticket to the stadium."
Ooh, that's good.
Her husband replied, not looking up from his magazine. Teasing him, the wife asked, "Would you swap me for a season ticket?" "Never," he said. "That's sweet. Tell me why not. The season's more than half over."
I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. A priest commented at a funeral, "We are gathered here today to pay homage to a good man. He was a kind man, a man everyone loved, and a man who treasured his family as much as his family treasured him." The widow suddenly leaned over and whispered to her grandson, "Go make sure that's your grandpa in the coffin."
There had to be a mistake.
There had to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
Let me see. This one's entitled, "Having a Bad Day." Well then, consider this. In a hospital's intensive care unit, patients always died in the same bed. On Sunday morning at about 11 a.m., regardless of their medical condition. This puzzled the doctors, and some even thought it had something to do with the supernatural. No one could solve the mystery as to why the deaths occurred around 11 a.m. on Sunday. So a worldwide team of experts was assembled to investigate the cause of the incidents. The next Sunday morning, a few minutes after 11 a.m., all the doctors and nurses nervously waited outside the ward to see for themselves what the terrible phenomenon was all about. Some were holding wooden crosses, prayer books, and other holy objects to ward off the evil spirits. Just when the clock struck 11, Pookie Johnson, the part-time Sunday sweeper, entered the ward and unplugged the life support system so he could use the vacuum cleaner. Pretty bad, huh?
So, who do they get to volunteer for this little experiment?
I don't know.
I wouldn't want to be.
I wouldn't either. They probably didn't tell them.
Oh, that's like a Far Side comic right there.
Yeah, it
That's a
is.
perfect little story.
Well, here's one more. An elderly couple was celebrating their 60th anniversary. The couple had married as childhood sweethearts and had moved back to their old neighborhood after they retired. Holding hands, they walked back to their old school. It was not locked, so they entered and found the old desk where they shared, where Andy had carved, "I love you, Sally." On their way back home, a bag of money fell out of an armored car, practically landing at their feet. Sally quickly picked it up, and not sure what to do with it, they took it home. There she counted the money, $50,000. "We've got to give it back," Andy said. "Finders keepers," said Sally, and put the money back in the bag and hid it in the attic. The next day, two police officers were canvassing the neighborhood looking for the money and knocked on their door. "Pardon me, did either of you find a bag that fell out of an armored car yesterday?" "No," said Sally. "She's lying," said Andy. "She hid it up in the attic." "Don't believe him. He's getting senile," retorted Sally. The agents turned to Andy and began to question him. One said, "Tell us the story from the beginning." Andy explained, "Well, when Sally and I were walking home from school yesterday, the first police officer turned to his partner and said, 'We're out of here.'"
I thought he was going to turn on her.
Yeah,
You know, let her take the heat for them.
well, he was trying to, but
Yeah,
yeah, he answered the question just like,
and it was truthful.
it was very truthful.
Yeah.
But when you're
Oh,
60, probably close to 80 years old, walking home from school, that does sound like you're a little senile, right?
Does sound a little senile. Thanks, Beverly.
Our senior center has always been known for its excellent lunches. I ask you please to share this information with family or neighbors or anyone. We currently are in great need of 3 cooks at the Senior Citizen Center. If you know anyone who may be interested, please have them go to SpanishFork.org and apply online. Or they may call the Senior Center and ask for Verna Joe. 801-798 5015. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shelley. I am the Activity Director at Spring Gardens Mapleton. And I just wanted to share with you a few fun things that we have going on this month. First of all, on February 9th, we will be here at the Spanish Fork Senior Citizen Center. We'll be doing blood pressure checks and hand massages, so please come on over and see us. We always enjoy spending some time with you. Also, on February 22nd, we are having a big band Sweethearts Dance at Spring Gardens in Mapleton, and we are right across from the Maple Mountain Pharmacy. So again, that's at 6 o'clock, and it's free, so please come and enjoy some dancing and some yummy treats with us. We'd love to have you there. If you would like to come in for a tour and a free lunch, if you tell them that I sent you, we will also put you in to a drawing for a $50 gift card. So please come on in and see us again, Spring Gardens Mapleton. During the month of January, there's kind of a little bit of blah, and February, a little bit of blah after the end of the holidays. So of course you all know we have Valentine's coming up in February, but I just want to share with you a few of the other fun holidays that are happening during this month. So February 4th is Eat Ice Cream for Breakfast. So that's something you can all enjoy doing. If you are a person who loves vanilla ice cream, some people might consider you kind of basic, possibly somewhat shy, but it says if vanilla is your flavor of choice, you are actually a person who finds peace and balance every day. You are not an anxious person, but you enjoy the good quality things in life. If chocolate is your flavor of choice, you lead a life of joy. You have strong opinions about things, but you are willing to explore new ideas and other experiences. If strawberry is your flavor, your friends would describe you as fiercely loyal and energetic. You are always up for an adventure. And finally, if mint chocolate chip is your favorite, you are a pretty cool and balanced person. You are loved by everyone, and you enjoy having fun. So just another fun holiday to celebrate besides Valentine's Day. And I will look forward to seeing you on the 9th here at Spanish Fork Senior Citizen Center.
Hi, I'm Margaret Cook, and I'm here to tell you some more stories from our book, Reflections of a Farm Boy. As you can see, I have marked a few stories to tell today, and these are kind of fun stories. These come from stories. Now, Marion, when he wrote this, I must tell you, he wrote this during a time that I was in the hospital, and I was having back surgeries, and I mean surgeries, believe me. But if I could get it through here. He wrote this book, and he wrote it in by writing a story, one story each day. And when he did, he would go home and he'd bring his yellow legal pad and he'd write his stories and so on, and I'd listen. He gathered all these stories up, and then we typed them up, and he put them into a book. And they're in 3 sections. They're in sections of when he was a little boy, then when he was a younger boy, an older boy, and then when he was older. So this one today is Small Time Haymaker. Now, he was living on a farm, and he lived on a farm here where they farmed with horses. And so this is the way it goes. Out beyond the back lawn, in the hay yard, stood a huge derrick that was used to stack the hay at least 40 feet high in the air. The derrick was made of supporting and swinging poles fastened by cables, bolts, and iron braces. A large harnessed draft horse would pull or let back the large fork with 5 4-foot tines. The fork was placed into the wagon of hay and snapped shut and lifted high into the air as the horse pulled up a large shock of hay in process. 2 ropes were attached, one for the stacker man to pull the loaded fork to where he wanted it dropped, and another rope was held in the hands of the wagon man, who yanked on the rope, tipping the hay fork when the stacker man yells, "Let go!" The hay bundle then falls down into the desired place in the haystack. This continues as long as there is hay to be stacked, or the stack reaches the top of the pole boom. This procedure described above can be duplicated. Duplicated? Come on now. With a little imagination, must have been a lot, by a small boy sitting on the back lawn with a handful of sticks and a ball of string. First, you tie the sticks in place to make a derrick, excuse me. Then you slip a string throughout. Instead of a hay fork, you make a noose with a slip knot and fill it with freshly gathered grass. The boy must be the derrick horse, wagon man, and stacker man all in one. Pull the load up with the left hand while the string attached to the clump of grass is maneuvered with the other hand. When the grass is over the desired spot on the stack, yell, "Let go!" and yank on the slip knot. This continues as long as there is grass to be stacked, or until the stack reaches the top of the boomstick. Can you imagine? How much fun would a little boy have? Hey, not just a little boy, even a little girl. You have to come up with those things, you know? Okay, our next one here is called Shocking Wheat. Shock and Wheat. Shock and Wheat. Back in the McCormick Deering binder days, we had a horse-drawn machine that cut the nearly ripe grain, laid it down, and rolled it up into neat little bundles. Our binder had a mechanical twine tying device that usually went wrong and held up the works. A field crew worked their way down through the field, tossing the bundles into piles called shocks. The grain bundles were then thrown together with the seed heads up to facilitate drying to curtail mildewing in case of wet weather. After the shocks dried for several weeks, the threshing crew would come out into the field and fork the wheat bundles onto the wagons for threshing. The bundles were not heavy, but there were thousands of them, and when the wagon was loaded 10 or 12 feet high, the crew usually had their tongues hanging out. I can imagine. As a boy, I worked with the grain shocking crew. Because of all the abrasiveness of wheat straw in the bundles and ground stubble, long-sleeved shirts and long tight pants with long heavy socks were a must. Ooh, can you imagine getting that in your socks? Ooh. During grain cutting season, the sun was hot, as it was late summer in southeastern Idaho. Now, we had 3 seasons there: winter, July, and August. August was wheat or barley harvesting seasons. Working with wheat all day made one sweaty, sticky, and very uncomfortable. Wait, here comes Grandma with a case of cold root beer and Pepsi. Back in those days, the pop bottles were smaller, but had a bite that young people today will never know. It would make your nose turn red and your eyes water. Nothing was more reviving than to sit around a grain bundle at 3 in the hot afternoon drinking an ice-cold stiff drink of pop, or 2. I can relate. I am a Pepsi fan, but I've been doing better. Okay, the last one here is harnessing horses. Now, Marion went to this farm when he was 5, and his grandfather was farming with horses, and it wasn't until he was about probably 16 that they went to machine stuff and didn't use the horses as much. As a boy, it was my job to go out and harness the horses in preparation for a day's work. Those large draft horses did not leave much room in the stall for fooling around. On work days, I harnessed 2 teams and unharnessed the same at the end of the day. We had a harness room just inside the barn door. The walls were adorned with leathers, chains, collars, and 6 harnesses hanging from pegs or hooks. Also, there was a rawhide horse whip that kept me from fooling around, being foolish during my formative years. Just the mere mention of it made me repent. No, I never experienced the horse whip, but several times heard it snap over the rump of a wayward horse. I would take down the collars and place them around the horses' necks, and then go for reins and harnesses. You have to grab a harness just right or get harnessed instead of the horse. This meant taking the harness off the wall, draping it down your back with the front part held high overhead. The room was left with the harness dragging behind me down the barn walk. The team would turn their heads to watch the young boy, all dressed in their harness, to laugh and plan a fun-filled strategy. As a rule of thumb, one must always harness to the right, which meant pulling the apparatus alongside between the horse and the stanchion wall. About halfway, the horse would crowd over and pin me right tight. And after hearing some words of complaint, let me through to throw on and buckle the leather in place. Some of those complaint words were learned from my grandfather. The horses fully know what they meant. Going down between the beast with the second harness, the same thing happened, only they crowd in together. Yes, horses have a sense of humor. Funny, they would never pull such a stunt when Grandpa put on the reins. This book is in the library here at the Senior Center, but it is a library copy only, so you'll have to read it here. But if you want to look at any of these, come in and look at them. They're fun. There aren't pictures, but there's pictures on the front here showing it. And this is my husband as boy, and here. And it was so funny. One day, my grandson looked at that horse, at that picture, and he says, "Grandpa, is this you?" He says, "Yeah, it looks just like you, doesn't it?" And then Grandpa stood up, and Grandpa had a tummy. And he says, "The day will come, Jacob, that you will have one too." And it did. Okay. Good to see all of you. Come to the center and enjoy the things. Thank you for coming. Bye-bye.
Hey, let's get some more jokes. Beverly, you got any more jokes?
I do. Just happen to have a few. Okay. The preacher just finished his sermon for the day and proceeded toward the back of the church for his usual greetings and handshakings as the congregation left the church. After shaking a few adult hands, he came upon the 7-year-old son of one of the deacons of the church. "Good morning, Jonathan," the preacher said as he reached out to shake Jonathan's hand. As he was doing so, he felt something in the palm of Jonathan's hand. "What's this?" the preacher asked. "Money," said Jonathan with a big smile on his face. "It's for you."
Oh.
"I don't want to take your money, Jonathan," the preacher answered. "You have to have it." "I want to give it to you," said Jonathan. After a short pause, Jonathan continued, "My daddy says you're the poorest preacher we ever had, and I want to help you."
Oh, that was so kind.
I know. Little kids are kind.
Yeah, and honest.
And very honest. All right. This is entitled, "Why Seniors Still Need Newspapers." I was visiting my daughter last night when I asked if I could borrow a newspaper. "This is the 21st century," she said. "We don't waste money on newspapers. Here, use my iPad." I can tell you this, that fly never knew what hit him. Got it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You got that one. That's great. We had a power outage at our house this morning, and my PC, laptop, TV, DVD, and my new surround sound music system were all shut down.
Oh, man.
Then I discovered that my iPhone battery was flat, and to top it off, it was raining outside, so I couldn't go play golf. I went to the kitchen to warm some soup, and then I remembered that this also needs power. So I sat and talked to my wife for about half an hour. She seemed like a very nice person. Ooh. All righty. Resolutions. More books to read.
Oh, this is like for New Year's resolution.
Yes, this is New Year's resolutions.
Oh, good idea.
For 2019.
Let's do it for 23.
Oh, I'm going to do this way. Sorry, Pete.
Okay, sorry.
2019. Here's the resolution. I will read at least 10 books a year. 2020. I will read 5 books a year. 2021. I will read some articles in the newspaper this year. 2022. I will try to read some articles in the newspaper this year. 2023. I will try and finish the comic section this year. And this is even better. These are dieting New Year resolutions.
Ooh, I've heard a few of those over the years.
Yeah, me too. Doesn't work. But this is typical. Okay,
But you know, no, tell your joke first.
I'll tell my joke.
Yeah.
2019. I will get my weight down below 180 pounds. 2020. I will follow my new diet rigorously until I get below 200 pounds. 2021. I will develop a realistic attitude about my weight. 2022. I will work out 3 days a week. 2023. I will try to drive past the gym at least once a week.
Very good.
Okay.
So I heard that any meal you eat at the senior center has 0 calories.
Oh, yes. That is so.
Awesome.
Yes. Why do you think I can't follow any of these resolutions?
There you go. There you go. Thank you, Beverly.